I remember my husband helping me get up out of bed and him making a joke. And I laughed at the joke, and when I tell you, I peed all over our hardwood floor. I was mortified, like it splashed on him and everything. My body did not work, I should say my bladder did not work the way I thought it would postpartum, and that was a pretty embarrassing moment. The female body is quite amazing in the 4th trimester. There's so many things that are going on.
Your hormones have been so high for months and months and months, and that little person leaves, or 2 or 3 depending on multiples. So this big drop in hormone is what changes how your body feels, and that is to be expected.
First things first, your milk is going to come in, and could be pretty painful for some people, especially if this is your first baby.
When you breastfeed, your estrogen levels, one of the major hormones that is very important for a woman, really can go down and be very decreased than normal. And what that does is you can have a decreased sex drive, you can have vaginal dryness, and definitely that was something that I struggled with, specifically with my first.
I remember being in a Target and hearing another baby cry, my breast starting to leak all over the place.
The breast tissue may be stretched and it may never be exactly the same, but that's okay. And that's not an uncommon finding. If you have redness or fever related to the breast tissue or feeding, there may be an underlying infection. So I think that's a big warning sign.
I personally experienced a really difficult time healing from an episiotomy. After I brought my newborn home, physically I felt like I couldn't make big movements because I had stitches. I knew that the healing takes a while. You just have to take everything slow.
Definitely pushing out 3 kids vaginally has changed me drastically. Things that I used to take for granted, like holding my bladder for hours on end, or being able to jump on a trampoline, or being able to laugh or go to an exercise class without leaking a little urine, are definitely now my new normal.
I had a cesarean section and it was difficult to sit up from a laying position. It was very painful from my C-section scar. Now, looking 5 months after, I'm okay. I've recovered very well. However, now I'm numb. My C-section scar, I'll touch it and that area is just pretty numb.
My scar healed up very well. The only thing I would say is now, especially, I guess because my ligaments are stretching for, preparing for the next pregnancy, I do feel pain almost when I, cough, sneeze, especially if I have a full bladder. That really hurts.
If you have a vaginal delivery or a C-section, because that baby can do a number on your core, so be patient. For some women, the core will come back with some core exercises, plank stretches, things of that nature. But don't put pressure on yourself.
One of the most significant changes I noticed was I lost my hair at 4 months postpartum, and it was significant. And as a labor and delivery nurse, I expected it. I knew it was gonna happen, but it was so significant on my hairline that I felt bald.
For me, after I had my first, the first couple of months were fine, and then about 3 months old, I started to shed my hair all the time, and I'm like, what is going on? It was really, really stressful, and I kind of was just worried that, is my hair gonna grow back? Am I gonna look, like I looked before? And the good thing is, it does grow back.
I think another change is bleeding. You can bleed for up to 4 to 6 weeks, and that's normal. And kind of what I tell my patients is that bleeding may be heavier when you do nurse or pump, maybe a little bit heavier when you walk around or are more active, but it should trend down. So every day should get a little bit lighter.
Your uterus that once held this ginormous baby is trying to go back into its original size, which is like a size of a pear.
It's normal to experience cramps as your uterus is going back to its normal size.
So with all 3 of my pregnancies, I was lucky enough that I gained 50 pounds. After I delivered, it takes a while to lose that weight. And I remember specifically with my first pregnancy, I had preeclampsia. I was extremely puffy. It's almost like I was like a balloon that needed to be deflated. And after I delivered, I thought I would be deflated immediately, and I wasn't. So it took a couple of weeks for all the swelling to go down, and it took a couple months for me to really get back to my, baseline weight.
I had to really recognize that this concept of, the snapback is so made up and manufactured, and it just doesn't exist. And so I had to let that go. It took me a while to get comfortable with my new body, my new weight, and okay, so I have some cellulite now and my hips are a little bigger, and I'll probably not really get back into my clothes, some of them at least, but I don't really care.
When I look at myself in the mirror and I see stretch marks, I kind of like remind myself that like my body has really given birth to 2 beautiful children, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I embraced ruching, which those of you who know what that is, really helps bring everything together. And I was comfortable with that. So it's not exactly how I was, maybe the day of my wedding, but it's definitely something that I found a new way to be comfortable. That bathing suit season was the toughest post-baby. Now I just kind of embrace it and wrap a towel around my waist and move on with my life.
The physical changes are significant, but there's ways to deal with it. And I believe that with just the proper education and the resources, if you know about the challenges that are ahead of you and you're prepared for them, you can definitely feel confident to surpass it.
I would really try and stress to women that physical changes are normal and for the most part temporary. It doesn't feel like it is when you're in the moment and your breasts are heavy and they ache, or your belly hurts, or your vagina feels like it's on fire. Give yourself grace. That's what I usually tell my patients, to just let the healing process occur. Come in and see us if you think something's going a little awry. And it took you, 10 months to grow this human, so you really got to give your body some time, minimum a year, before you get back to what you feel like is any normal semblance of your body.